So the Galaxy Z Fold 6 Ultra or Special Edition has finally been unveiled by Samsung in South Korea. And it's got some pretty exciting upgrades compared to the regular Fold 6. It fixes 4 of the big issues we've had with Samsung's foldables, but at the same time, it's missing a major feature that could have made it a true Ultra foldable. So let's break down the 10 major upgrades and one big downgrade of the Z Fold 6 Special Edition versus the Fold 6. What's up guys, Sal here. So let's start with the displays. The Z Fold Special Edition now has a 6.5-inch outer display and an 8-inch inner display. Compare that to the Fold 6's 6.3-inch outer and 7.6-inch inner screens, and that's a nice bump. The outer display also has a new 21:9 aspect ratio compared to the 22:9 ratio on the Fold 6, so it should finally fix that narrow display issue we've all been complaining about since the first Fold. Plus the screen resolution got a small upgrade too. Now let's talk about the crease. Samsung finally got it right. On the Z Fold SE, the crease is barely visible even when looking at it from different angles. This fix is long overdue since Samsung has been in the foldable game longer than anyone, but companies like OnePlus were ahead on this front. So I'm glad they finally put in the effort to make the crease less noticeable. But there's a catch. To fix the crease, Samsung had to make a tough call. They ditched the under display camera on the inner screen and replaced it with a punch hole camera. Now I've talked about this in my last video, it's a trade-off. You lose one feature but gain improvements in another. Honestly, it's a good call because the under display camera was pretty terrible for anything other than basic video calls. With a punch hole camera, you're getting way better selfie quality. Sure, it might take some getting used to seeing that little dot again, but if it improves 2 things, I'd say that's a win. Also, they've used a new ultra foldable glass that's thicker on the sides and thinner in the middle, which helps make the crease almost disappear. Next up, the cameras. The Z Fold SE finally brings over the 200 megapixel camera from the S24 Ultra, which is a massive upgrade from the Fold 6's 50 megapixel main camera. And according to iCineverse, the 200 megapixel camera on the Fold SE might even be better than the one on the S24 Ultra, which is interesting. The other 2 cameras are the same as the Fold 6, but here's the letdown, there's still no periscope zoom camera. Oh, and the camera module looks a bit different from the Fold 6, so there's that. Now, the size and weight. Samsung has made the Z Fold Special Edition thinner and lighter. Folded is 10.6mm thick and unfolded is just 4.9mm, which is a big improvement from the Fold 6. And remember, the Fold 6 was already thinner than the Fold 5, so this is impressive. It's also a little lighter, coming in at 236 grams, which is 3 grams lighter than the Fold 6. The Z Fold Special Edition also bumps up the RAM to 16 GB compared to the Fold 6's 12 GB, which should help with multitasking and AI features. Now let's get into the one big missing feature, the S Pen support. Samsung dished the S Pen entirely on this device to make it thinner. By removing the S Pen digitizer, they shaved off 0.6mm from the Fold 6's thickness. While I get why they did it, it's still disappointing. The S Pen would have been great on this large display, especially with the new AI features Samsung's been rolling out for the S Pen. Not having it feels like a step back. On one hand, they gave us most of what we've been asking for, and on the other hand, they took away one of the most loved features. Samsung's decisions lately have been a bit all over the place. And speaking of things that don't make sense, despite the bigger displays, Samsung didn't upgrade the battery. It's still the same 4400 mAh as the Fold 6. Battery life on the Fold 6 is decent, so you can only expect how that's gonna be on this phone. On the plus side, the Z Fold Special Edition comes with Wi-Fi 7, which isn't enabled on the Fold 6 yet. Other than that, the rest of the hardware, including the chipset, is pretty much the same as the Fold 6. Now let's talk about the price. The Z Fold SE starts with 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage and is priced at around $2,030 when you convert it from Korean pricing. You might think, hey, that's just about the same as the Fold 6 with 512GB, right? Well, not quite. Samsung prices their phones differently in different regions. For example, the Z Fold 6 with 512GB was launched in South Korea for $1,740. So in reality, the Z Fold SE is about $300 more expensive than the Fold 6. And the biggest downside is only launching in South Korea and China. So if you really want one, you'll have to import it, which makes it even pricier. But this launch gives us a hint of what we might see with the Z Fold 7. If Samsung brings all these upgrades to the Fold 7, I just hope they don't ditch the S Pen and give us a bigger battery. Let me know your thoughts on this phone, and if you're interested in the S25 Ultra, here's some latest updates and I'll see you there.